goes through a process. A lot of it's hit and miss. Sometimes you do it. And, but it wasn't, it wasn't torture.
That's good to know. It's just that this movie never loses its sense of believability, no matter how far out it goes. I think that's really to your credit as a costume designer as well, for making things seem like part of one story in the world of that story. I think it was beautifully achieved. So hats off to you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It still goes, credit still goes to him.
Yeah. Can you describe the atmosphere on set, how it was to shoot this and be there for this?
There wasn't a lot of laughs. No. It was intense. He just was driven, as you saw in the movie, but that's the way he worked.
Do you remember how many days it took to shoot this? How many months?
Wolfgang.
100.
100 shooting days. Yeah, that's extraordinary.
60.
I'm sorry?
It was originally 60.
Originally
Then up
60
to-
and then up to 100, yeah.
Wow.
Right, so that scene in the movie that they're talking about in the editing room when he went from 4 months to 7 months was kind of a...
Well, you realize that the Cliff Gorman isn't any Bruce, is the Lenny character.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, looking back on the project, seeing it again tonight, what is the thing that you take away from it? What are you left with tonight?
I had trouble realizing that I'd done it. I was a little amazed. I was not displeased, and it was such a pleasure to see Sandal and Catherine on screen again, moving like. You saw how beautiful.
Truly amazing, beautiful. Yeah.
And it was just, little things come back. For instance, the thing with the showgirls, the fans going around. The girls were complaining about the height of their heels, and he said, "Oh," he took a pair that fit him. He did the whole number in high heels, and that was the end of the discussion.
That's pretty good. It's really, really funny. Regarding the Academy Award, what was the process like? When this film came out, I'm sure the buzz attendant to your work was pretty strong. Can you tell me about that, how that happened?
Totally different times. I mean, today it's already starting. And you get the screeners. There were no screeners in those days. There was some publicity, yes, but it was compared to today, it was nothing. And they did go through the process. They did have the nominations and all that, but it wasn't it wasn't a hysteria that starts even now. Right? Totally different. Compared to today, very minor.
Do you think that, were you very surprised by the nomination? Was it something that you thought maybe I could do this, or was it a surprise?
I was very surprised. It's my first nomination, and it's a joy. It was a surprise. And if you saw, and winning also, as you saw, the other four were a very, very good group of people.
Yeah, it looked like it was a tough year.
Very
But I'm impressed that you maintained your decorum and gave such a nice speech thanking so many people who had helped. That was really nice.
I made Max Solomon a star the next day in New York. He was my wardrobe supervisor, like that.
Yeah, that's so nice. In fact, I was noting that there were only two costume types.
Oh yes, we worked. There were dresses for big numbers, but we worked on the back of trucks. And it was a different time. It was like doing independent movies. It was all shot in New York.
So, really, it was you and two people?
Two people, and then whenever there were crowd scenes.
Wow.
Dresses, but that was it.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. I'm impressed.
But that was the way, well, it's also, you see, we're all of us, including my, not Max, but some of the other people, are all theater trained. That was the background.
What do you think your fondest memory is from this project?
I'm just, the fondest memory of seeing it tonight, seeing how well it holds up, and how wonderfully he understood filming dance. None of this close-up. He said that he gave you bodies. That's what Fred Astaire used to always do. And I think that for me, I was amazed how really it holds up. It
I
really
agree.
holds up. It's both moving and very beautifully made by everybody. Acting, Leland Palmer, it's just wonderful. A lovely little girl, Elizabeth, and of course the divine Anne Ryan King. They're all so wonderful.
I agree. It really holds up. Watching it tonight, I just thought, God, this is timeless. I mean, it was really, really well done. Congratulations again.
And it's all Bob Fosse.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So since we're among costume designers, how, you touched on like it was just you and two people, but how has costume design changed, in your opinion, since this time? And has it added, or how is it different?
It's gotten, it's computers now. I'm pre-computers, so and it really hasn't changed. I mean, the design, what you have to come up with out of your heart, your soul, and to create has not changed. How you go about it may be a little different. But I do feel it's still the same thing. It's just that it's a different world today. At least in film, it's gotten so corporate. And then when I was working in that starting that period, it was all director oriented, which I am totally director oriented. And directors it was their vision, their movies. When it was over, it was a Bob Fosse movie or a Paul Mazursky movie in my case. But anybody, it was, that's what it was. Today you don't have as much of it.
Anything else you'd like to add about the film?
I still don't remember. I'm amazed that I did it. I was very pleased today. It's my great surprise.
It's lovely. It's so beautiful. It's just wonderful to see it again, and so nice to hear your perspective on making it. We also have 3 people here in the audience tonight who can give us further perspective. Wolfgang, who was the associate producer and first AD, and Catherine, who was assistant choreographer to Bob Fosse for many years, and Sandal, who was the lead dancer. You might recognize her from the screen. Catherine as well. So I'd like to pass the mic to you guys. Please feel free to tell us a story of something that you enjoyed.
I think we should start with Catherine. Can you get the little
I-
foil?
Check my mic.
I don't need it.
We don't need, I don't need that.
Oh, no, you don't need it. I have a costume here.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Albert gave me at the end of the movie, and it happens to be one of the finale costumes, the silver thing, and which was kind of, there's a story to that whole number, because it's Anne Reiking and myself who are dancing. But up until the last rehearsal, before we started shooting this, it was on a Saturday. This one we shot, where was it, Purchase University?
Yeah, Purchase, upstate New York, Purchase.
Purchase, yeah.
And we had a rehearsal. We were supposed to go up there on next Monday, right?
Month for you.
And we had the final rehearsal for the number on a Saturday. And Bob kept looking at the number, and he was unhappy, and he said, it just doesn't look right. there were two other girls in it, and somehow the number didn't click. So you should tell the story.
No, basically it was that two ladies, one was very tall, about this much taller than Catherine, and the other girl was about 1.5 foot shorter. So I don't know how Bob came up with this idea, but we talked about it, and I said, oh, Bob, this doesn't really look good. You know, everything was synchronized, they're doing the same steps, just reverse. And then we said, think about it, what we can do. It's a little late now because it is Friday afternoon, Friday evening. Actually, was your dinner. And then he said, I'm going to call you later. And we obviously lived together at the time. But what happened to us that 11 o'clock we called and did you find out something what we can do, what we can change? What are we doing? Nothing. We didn't come up with anything. 12 o'clock, midnight, nothing. 1 o'clock, finally, we decided the easiest way out of this catastrophe was to let Catherine do the number, one of the dancers, and because she knew the number, being the assistant of Bob, she knew the number, and get Anne Reinking, who knows Fosse's style, and who can really adapt into this number very fast. So that was the good news at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then the next one, the call for Mr. Albert here. Hello.
Exactly.
How you
What
going
do
to
we do with the costumes?
solve the problem? Because there was a tall lady and a midget, you know. And she had sorry, Sandra. We're friends. But anyway, what we can do? We needed overnight. Albert had to make new costumes, new shoes.
Well, that was the big problem.
Yeah,
It
it was a
drove her almost
big-
crazy, because
Yeah.
we had started, we had to shoot, and she was wearing, shall we say, shoes that didn't quite fit for
No,
a couple
of
of
course not.
days, till finally we could get the shoes.
We
made.
had to have the shoes made. Gus, right? What's his name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gus.
Yeah. And he made the shoes in like 3 days. It was absolutely amazing.
But we were shooting already. You
Yeah.
worked, you
Well-
started, you did, I think, one day with.
It was like the rehearsals. I don't think we were
Oh,
actually
good.
shooting it, but they were.
I know, because I know you were
rehearsals on
suffering.
set. But these costumes, when you look at,
Oh.
I had this forever. For a long time, I kept it and I used to put it on if I felt like I gained a couple of pounds. And if it fitted all right, I was okay. If it didn't fit the way it was supposed to, diet. And
I
mean,
still
this
give
is
it to her
the-
every 3 years and
I mean, it's so, and the problem with it was, well, we had problems. First of all, like underwear. Where do you wear under this? I mean, it's totally fitting. So I think after a couple of different tries, we ended up with G-strings that the strippers wear, and that's it. I mean, no bras or anything else. That we couldn't put anything under it. When we got into it, I mean, you see how little it is, and it's all all in one. In the back, there is a zipper that comes up to here, but you couldn't put anything on the head because the zippers just don't move enough. So we had to be sewn into it from like here up until there. We had to be sewn into it. Now another problem, how do you go to the bathroom? I mean, before we got on the set, Wolf was saying, "Okay, ladies, it's bathroom time," and then then we got sewn into it, and you couldn't get out until lunchtime, of course.
Wow.
So that was kind of fun, because it's like all in one, and it's.
It was Bob's, he had a trunk with, sometimes we would come up with ideas, come out of his trunk. And one of them was he wanted to be like the veins, the body thing. And I had done, there was a quick shot, if you remember earlier in the film, where in that part of that big number where the three of them are in white with black. Well, I almost went crazy because dancers inspire. things started to
Oh,
run.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I thought, I'll go crazy, and so will the dancers, because the number you saw is 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks to shoot that number.
Amazing,
And,
amazing.
so I decided.
Out of town.
Out of
Out of-
town,
uh-huh.
yeah, every day we would troop to purchase. And that's why the veins, I thought of making it three-dimensional.
Right.
And not, there's no dye in it.
Mhm.
And everything had to be sewn on by hand,
Mhm.
right? Because you can't sew it otherwise, it has to be on
Yeah,
the
and
body.
it's
a stretch.
Mhm, because it's stretched.
And,
Yeah.
and some of it had to be done on the body itself.
Yeah.
quickly.
Wow, who was
Incredible.
wearing it when you sewed it on?
Excuse me?
Who was wearing the bodysuit when you sewed the veins
Oh,
on?
you mean I have no idea.
Well, I'm asking.
Oh, Albert,
When the
who
gar-
was sewing it?
I'm sorry.
When the garment was manufactured, how did they blow it up so that they could sew the veins on? Like what was inside of it so that they could sew?
Oh, well,
But you can see that it's hand sewn.
The leotard is the basis. The veins were done on the body.
So a stitcher would put it on and the stitcher would sew
No,
it
the actors, the
Oh.
dancers.
while she was
Not-
wearing it?
Not us.
No, but before you,
Somebody
yes.
before.
Oh, boy.
Because by the time we got there, we were in a hurry, but it was the actual, because the placement has to be on the real body.
Right, right. Wow.
You can mark too, you know, you don't have to do every bit of it, but it does need the body.
Right, I mean, you need that pushed out in the right places to stretch and, wow, that's incredible. Sandal, do you have?
But shooting it was really fun, because, it's like, I was teaching Annie the numbers in between shots and
Oh,
things.
boy.
But Bob also changed quite a few things, because once we got on the set, it's different than in a rehearsal, however, you kind of plan it out. But when he saw the bleachers and things, he wanted to use some of it, instead of putting everything on the main stage. Like there was one point when we were coming through an archway, this kind of stuff, and walking through it all forward. That was all improvised. And since Annie knew his style so well, and so did I mean, we did, I don't know how many shows for him by then, he would just throw things at us, and we would do it. So it's like, we had fun with it. It was very hard work, and sometimes it was little difficult to breathe because of all the smoke. But all in all, it was fun. And of course, Roy worked his butt off.
He was very good.
Yeah.
He was really good.
Didn't he get some big bruise with the slide he did? You were talking
there's
about
one slide in
huge.
there, and
they had
we
to
were
do over and
rehearsing
over.
it. It's like a baseball slide. And I noticed that he had a lump on his leg. And I didn't, what is that? Are you okay? And he said it was a really big lump at the time. And so I said, maybe you should, just cut it, or how can we help? He said, don't worry about it, don't tell Bob. I just want to do it. And he did that slide, I don't know what.
The problem was with Fosse that for every shot, he looked to the camera, not a viewfinder. Sometimes first a viewfinder, but very seldom. Then he looked to the camera, not like today's the camera piece, no, he looked to the camera and did like 10, 15, 25 rehearsals until he had kind of printed it in his own head. And then he said, okay, we're ready to shoot. Okay, this set, the big finale was pre-lit and took about a week to pre-light it. And we were out there for 2 weeks, Monday, Friday, 2 weeks like that, to do this one number. So Fosse's average for my back days with Cabaret with him, I knew when I did the schedule that it was going to be like about 45 seconds per day of a musical number. So this number being like 7 minutes or something would be, and with all the intercuts with the audience and things, would be much more. So there was a big problem, obviously, on the budget. Like I said, it was originally 60 days, but we all knew, my friend Kenny Otter, we knew there was no way in the world. And when you looked at the studio, which was very strange, it it was 20th Century Fox and Columbia Pictures, because originally was Fox, and then Columbia came in later with the financing, because
That was to
yeah,
get extra money.
yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
But so it was
Hard
a problem,
labor.
you know, and the studio had said originally with this kind of story, you're not going to go over 60 days. But like I said, everybody knew this is not a 60-day movie. It was more like in the 80s or something. It turned out I kept actually the call sheet number 1 and call sheet number 100. So I never in my lifetime will forget that this was a movie of 100 days.
So Wolfman, when you were shooting, what was the average hours per day that you were able to shoot with people doing such intense physical activity? How many hours a day could you
It
realistically
was
shoot?
basically a 10-hour day, but you know, it was very, very intense. And Fosse was this, real life, a crazy smoker. So he smoked like 120, 140, 160 cigarettes a day. It was disgusting, but anyway, we knew that from Cabaret, and we knew him very well. So when he started smoking on the stage or something, he would put one cigarette in his mouth, and then Gitan, back in Germany when we shot Cabaret, he did the Gitans, burned them in his lips, you know, and then put it on the other side and burned it here, and then the nurse put some cream on this side, and the nurse put some cream here, so it didn't taste good, so we put the cigarette in the middle. But that's the way. So, but later we went just by, took the cigarette out of his mouth, stepped on it, and that was it. And he put right away another one in. So the atmosphere was very intense, and like you said, Albert asked me 10 hours, but then Fosse never, very seldom unless he had to do the bathroom or something, he was always there on stage, and he hated people who did call their agents or did something else. You know, he was always there, focused, and he couldn't understand and didn't want to deal with anybody who was not there and 100% concentrated on the shot we were doing.
And you never had any weekends with him?
Oh no,
I
weekends.
mean,
no.
Wolf was assistant director, producer, I was assistant choreographer. We never had a day off, because he would go like scouting, even in the middle of the movies. The dancers were rehearsing every weekend. If not with the dancers, then just like with me going through dance stuff. So like we haven't had any days off for I don't know how many weeks.
And we had a 2 weeks break in the schedule, because he said, I cannot design the finale in the beginning in pre-production. So it was all scheduled, but because we were running so way behind, we had to cut it down for like the break, like 2 days or something like that. And we're running into the Christmas period, so there was no Christmas period, because when you go from 60 days schedule to 100 days schedule, you're really in trouble.
The opening with Ben Vereen in the front of was the first day of shooting, if you remember. There was no number in back of the curtain. He hadn't even invented it yet. But he was there because I guess Vereen had a conflict and could only be there a certain time. And then he came, because we started the movie without that number.
Actually,
But
we
I
started.
also would like to mention, because before I forget, is some of the beauty of the movie is Giuseppe Rottuno, the cinematographer.
Yeah.
It's beautiful photograph, and he was wonderful to work with.
That's good. That's good.
But the set, Albert, it was beautiful lit, this last set, but it was a tough one to shoot, because we had reflections, camera reflections in the mylar, in the mirror effect. It was horrendous. I mean, we had it first in the rehearsal studios, because there was one wall mirror. It was the same thing. We had built this rehearsal. This rehearsal studio, Broadway Arts, is a copy of the real Broadway Arts rehearsal studio in New York. But we built the studio, the rehearsal studio out in Astoria, to be able to move the walls out and have more space, and be able to move the mirrors like that or like that, so we wouldn't have camera reflections. But we could have never done it in a real rehearsal studio. That's why, by the way, the only shot of Nicole Fosse, the real daughter, is a shot at the
Soda
machine.
Oh my
When
God.
somebody says, "Hey, get your legs out of here." That's Nicole Fosse. The real doll.
That's the real one.
Sandal, I wanted to ask you for your favorite memories from this. This must have been an interesting project to work on, and how did it shape your world?
Well, it
moving
changed my
forward?
life, for one, that movie totally changed my life. But my story's interesting. I was doing his Broadway show, Dancing, in New York at the time. And I initially tested for the role of Victoria when Richard Dreyfuss was on board. He was originally cast, right?
Yeah.
And then he was out, and then Roy was in, which really was fantastic.
The
But
picture was on, sorry, the picture was on stream after we lost Dreyfus, or he walked away, or whatever. I
Well,
don't
they
know.
both-
yeah,
Or distinctive.
They both decided it was not a good idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I tested with him initially, but I was doing Bob's show. This is my story with this movie, which is interesting. In the theater, you get 2 weeks off a year. So I took a week at my 6 months, and I came out to LA because my little sister lives here and my boyfriend. I was here about 4 days, and I get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's Bob. And he goes, "You have to do me a favor. You have to get on a plane tomorrow and do this number." They let the girl go that was initially supposed to take off with us. So I'm like, well, what's going on? It had to do with nudity, and I went, oh my God, I'm from Kansas. I can't do nudity. My mom and dad, what are they gonna say? He said, trust me, it's not a go-go number. And he said, fly out tomorrow, somebody will pick you up. They took me right to Astoria Studios, started working with Dobie right away. The scary thing about it was Bob said, I can't change the shooting schedule because, and this number's supposed to shoot in 3 days. So,
You got 4 days.
yeah, we
Both had
got
to
an
change
extra
the
day
schedule.
because of Wolf, you know.
Both had to be
But, so
different.
I worked with her, I learned it, and I worked with Bob one night after shooting at the studio, and he said, Sandal, I'm sorry I can't change the number, you're a different dancer, but I can't. And I think with Albert too, I think I didn't wear much in that number, but I think your design was already there, so I kind of stepped into
Yeah.
Cheryl's whatever you designed for that.
But there was, it was 2 parts. It was like rehearsal clothes and then some
Yeah.
nudity.
Yeah. So my experience was just shot out of a cannon. And I thank Dobie for that. And like I said, Bob said, I'm sorry I can't change it. Let's do the best we can.
I'm sorry to butt in, but we also had to shoot it to the, it was pre-recorded already, the number, because for dance numbers, in those days anyway, you always pre-recorded the music. So the music and the singing was pre-recorded already. And we didn't have time to do Sandal's singing. So you actually had to
Go into a studio and do it.
studio and had to dub it
Yeah.
afterwards, but we shot it to the other girl's voice, because that was on the pre-recording. That's how fast the whole thing happened.
Yeah. So that was my experience. Like I said, I was just shot out of a cannon. And how life turns out, that film changed my life. You know, how you never know what things are gonna turn out. But and I was privileged, like seeing this movie made me teary-eyed a little bit because I was fortunate to do 2 Broadway shows with him and then the movie. And I often wonder today, what would he be doing if he was still, you know, happening. And if the whole movie was a shock, because then I thank Albert for that, because, you know, dance is so popular now. But the world of dance that we all know was movies like Music Man, you know, the Wells Fargo, and people in costumes. And I think this movie shocked people because you saw dancers how we are every day. And I don't think the general audience was ever used to seeing that. Girls were always in costumes with petticoats, and Bob stripped all that away from people. And that's why the number that I got to do was so shocking with a lot of the nudity that was going on, because it's like, oh my God. You know, it shocked a lot of people. You know, I think that was part of it. And
The opening number, which is the auditions for that, what do you when he finished, he said, "Let him try and do chorus line now."
Oh, yeah.
He was very competitive.
And like I said, with dancers now, shows are so popular, like So You Think and Dancing with the Stars and all of that. But dancers, it's funny for those of you that design further. We spend our life looking into a mirror. That's our life. From class, an hour and a half of class, or if you're in a rehearsal for 6-8 hours. So the mirror is our best friend. So dancers, we kind of have our own thing about what we wear. Because you're looking at yourself for hours on end. And I remember I used to get mad because as a dancer you could write it off, in your income tax, because it was work related. Well, all of a sudden, dance outfits became very popular. And I remember, I'd take a pair of tights and I'd cut the crotch out in a octangle. That's where my head went, and the legs were my arms. Dancers or shrugs. When shrugs now became fashionable, that was dancers with a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. You put it back over your head, and the arms were still there, and it looked like a shrug. So, it became very fashionable, a lot of dancers. So when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, that's which is interesting, because I don't know how, I wanted to always ask you this question. There were so many of us in rehearsal clothes. Did you design that, or did you say, bring stuff in and I'll pick and choose what I want you to wear?
It was a combination, and talking to each one, because it was important for the dancers to both be comfortable and to sort of reflect their because rehearsal clothes reflect their personality.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You probably sat in a rehearsal and looked and went, oh, okay. Like Reem, I had the suspenders, and everybody kind of has their own thing. And I said, I think it's looking at
Albert was the black caps in the Takeoff With Us. It looked like most of the girls, had
Yeah,
the
the
little black
hats.
velvet captain's hat.
Because it was based on an airline.
airline.
Was that your idea?
Yes, because what we're trying to do with that, the number is in two parts, and the first part's supposed to look like a rehearsal. And that was just a little adding, a little piece here, a little piece there, before it went. And I had to plan, it was a hard number because I had to plan what it looked like there, and then what do they take off? So I had to sort of work it backwards to what it would look, and then, somehow evolve it that way.
One little thing, Sandal keeps saying that, we keep looking at ourselves in the mirror.
True.
It's not that you want to look at yourself, but
Right.
it's the
That's how we
only way
learn.
to learn choreography.
Yeah.
Because especially when it comes to somebody like Fosse, you don't know what he's doing. So the only way you can actually copy it is if you're in front of the mirror and you're watching Fosse or me, because I usually start a lot of this stuff, and you try to copy the person. So it's not that you're obsessed with yourself.
Yeah, yourself. It's
but
the learning
it's
process.
the learning process, because it's the only way you know if you're doing it right. Because if I show you a movement, unless you see yourself doing it, you don't know what the hell it is. So that's
Yeah.
the.
Are there any questions from the audience?
Claire, since you did Lenny and Star 80 after, was Fosse different directing this personal story? Was it tougher?
Tougher for,
Because he was so personally attached to the characters, was it harder to design these characters for him as opposed to Dorothy Stratton?
no,
or
actually
Bruce?
Star 80 was tougher. I think he made a mistake.
He was
Casting of
Mhm.
Meryl Hemingway, and she's very good in it, and she was fine. It's just that she was great in the Vancouver sections, and later in the Hollywood sections, she was never quite Dorothy Stratton. And as a result, he had to shoot in Los Angeles, and he hated Los Angeles. He absolutely hated it.
So did he look to you to make her more LA Dorothy Stratton?
Well, yes, you try,
Yeah.
and but it wasn't even that, it was something. And she's lovely. It's, I think it's miscasting.
Yeah. Well, how
But
often are
he
we,
knew it.
how often are we asked to make their performance better by the clothes?
That enhancement, yeah.
You know that Melanie Griffith was the other one, the second choice.
Yeah, Melanie.
I heard,
And she
for a
was
story.
she rehearsed.
I also heard Joy Hamilton.
She was
Better.
You never know.
He was having trouble casting.
Any other questions from the audience?
I have a really silly question, but I was fascinated by the boots that that Roy was wearing in the beginning. They look like riding boots.
I mean, it was high.
They were high boots and they had a
Fosse wore those boots all the time.
What were they?
And that's like,
Just,
your dance boots, they were, made.
Okay.
And what Bob used
They
to
had
make
the
is to
cuff.
fold it over.
Ah,
They were
okay.
not riding boots.
Okay, right,
They're very soft
right,
boots,
beautiful.
Probably
and
what
they
you
came
see
to
is
about
part of
here,
it.
Yeah.
and
They're
then
like
Yeah.
folded
the
over.
easy
Beautiful,
leather.
Yeah.
beautiful. I don't know.
And he did, I mean, that was
His signature, his signature.
Use it, yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Wolsky. It's a total honor and pleasure to have you talking about this wonderful film. Sandal, Catherine, Wolfgang, thank you so much. Thank you, Mika.